All right, project management app build path. Here we go. Today's agenda, we're going to talk about our use case for this project management app. Then we're going to have Cam. He's going to show you how to build this project management app without using any code. We're going to use AppSheet to build this app, of course. And then we'll have time for live Q&A. So if you guys have questions, make sure you're throwing them in the chat. We might not get to them during the webinar build part. So like when Cam's building out the project management app, but we will have time to get to those questions during our live Q&A portion. But definitely ask those questions as you think of them, so that way we can pull them in for the live stream and get those questions answered for you. Cam is a professional AppSheet developer. He does consulting and has clients, so he's well equipped to help you guys with these questions. If you treat this time like consulting time, think about the apps that you're making, how you can how you can add these features to your apps, and what questions you might have that might help with asking some questions as you're watching Cam build these features on our project management app today. All right, and as always, we want to take a moment to thank our video sponsor, Forms to Docs. This is a rules-based document creation platform. They help you capture information electronically in robust forms, automatically generate PDF and Word documents. Based on this information, you can store, edit, copy, and share these documents. You have unlimited user licensing. It's risk-free. And when you sign up using this link right here, if you click Learn More, it's also in the description below. You get a free custom demo using your data. They're going to set up your free template for free. 90 days, no questions asked guarantee. This is Forms to Docs, a product of Paperwork Pros. So we highly recommend these guys. Make sure to check them out if your use case fits their services. And all you have to do is click Learn More. Links in the description below. Thank you, Forms to Docs, a product of Paperwork Pros. All right, so let's get back into our project management app use case, and we'll do a little review of what we're going to be talking about today, and then we'll transition into Cam building out this app for us. Okay, so the main purpose of this app is to create a system to manage all of our construction projects. So any given construction company could have multiple projects, and each of those projects might have multiple tasks assigned to them. We also need, we'll have multiple team members, so those team members will need to be assigned tasks as well. And so the business process, we're going to digitally manage the construction projects with AppSheet. We're going to create projects and tasks, so that's the functional requirement, assign to team members, and then create a Kanban board. All right, and then just a brief overview of what is project management. It's a way to organize project objectives in order to meet project goals. So here you can see our Kanban board, and we have different statuses using slices. And so you'll see Cam build those out in just a minute, and I'll show you guys the app as well. Okay, so how are we going to create this project management app? Remember, this is part of our construction app suite like portfolio. And so the user table, I'm letting you guys know that because the user table is not in this database. It's in our app suite database. That way, all of the user data is linked to that app suite of the construction app suite database. So for this project management app, we have a project table, a task table. There's a third table in here we're not going to talk about, but it is in there if you would like to explore it. It's called Assigned Tasks table, and that's for a different feature from a previous webinar. So if you are interested in the Assigned Tasks table, you can comment below, and then we will share that video with you as well. So after we create our database, we're going to connect the database to AppSheet and then begin customizing the application. All right, so let's look at this app. Okay, so this is probably one of my favorite app builds that we've done in a while. So project management is pretty cool. And let's just take a look at how this app works and what all is in it. So here we have our Kanban board, and we have our projects over here to the left. And then we have slices here for each of our different statuses for the projects. The coolest feature in this app by far is that you can create multiple records with one form save. Okay, so let me show you guys how this works. So let's say we're working on the custom home, and we need to list out some tasks to get this custom home built. Okay, so these are our template tasks. So we can select any amount of these tasks that we want. And on this form save, it's going to create individual records for each of these tasks. So we need carpentry, painting, drywall, electric, and plumbing done on the, let's go with the living room. Okay. And this is set to high priority. It hasn't been started yet. And there's no additional notes for now. We're going to assign it to Cameron. Got a lot of work to do, Cameron. And then here's where it counts how many of those items need to be added. Okay, and then when we click save, we're going to see here the custom home now has 5 new tasks that haven't been started. 1 form save created 5 new records. When I saw that, that just was something that was revolutionary to me. So if you guys feel that same way, if you're like having to create multiple records for something, this is a way where you can just do it from 1 form save. And then we also have the traditional action buttons of this is the not started. So if we press play, it now moves to in progress and we can see the status update. And then once we've finished that, we've finished the carpentry, we can push it over to complete. And so there's your little Kanban board that automatically moves tasks over for you. So this may be kind of like a admin dashboard, and all these other views at the bottom are just the Kanban board, but in separate views down here. We also have some views up here. So we have a projects view. And then, like I said, there's an assign a task view. So this is another way to add multiple items in 1 form save. And that one actually allows you to do it with different people. And then we have our status view and a team view. And there we go. So that's a quick look at the project management app at a high level and how the user would interact with it. And next, I'm going to pass it over to Cam so you can learn how to build this.
All right. One cool thing about what you were just sharing was that it's not just creating 5 tasks. It's creating 5 unique tasks that are named in a way that actually gives good information. So it's not just creating 5 random tasks. It's creating a task for each of the different tasks that you've listed, like all the different things you need done to that room. And so like it's like, okay, we created a task for drywall and we created a task for this. That way you can individually check off each one of those without having to spend 15 minutes typing in each one of those individually. Awesome feature. If your mind wasn't blown, watch this recording and just rewatch what he just shared with you. It's awesome. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen, which is right here now. And over here, I'll go ahead and share my slides, but I want to start off with showing you the database that we created. So this first step would be to create the create the database, which we have already done for us right here. And so if we go over to here and go to the projects, we see that we have 3 tables here. However, inside of the data on AppSheet, we have 4 tables. So you might be asking me, where's the 4th table? That is our user table that is missing from that sheet. And that is because we're working inside the environment of a app suite. And what that means is it's a single app that navigates you and links you to different apps as if it was one seamless app working together. The benefits of this is, one, that the user only needs to have one app icon that they go to access all the different features they need without having an app that's slowed down and sluggish because it has a million different features on one app. And so it takes the advantage of having all the features, but also keeping the speed quick, as if you didn't have all the features running at once. And so where our user table is our user table is in a separate Google Sheet that is actually tied to the base app launcher that we have. And so we only have three different sheets for this individual app, but the fourth one, the user, is shared between all apps in the app suite. And then right here we have tasks, projects, and assigned tasks. And what this looks like is a project has many tasks, and a task assigned tasks has a list of users that are assigned to a specific tasks. Super easy. But now if we go ahead and show that inside of here, we have a project, and inside a project we just have an ID and a name. Really simple. Inside of tasks, we have an ID, a project ID, which is saying this task is belonging to this specific project. And then we have some more information that we want to record regarding this. Assigned tasks is pretty simple. Also, I believe this is from our last looping demo and not really being used in what I'm working on today. And so for now, we'll go ahead and slightly ignore that. So if we go back to the slides right here, our second functional requirement is to actually create a Kanban board. One platform that we really like to use at Crew is a platform called Trello. It is a Kanban styled workflow, project management, task management, incredible thing. But you can actually build something very similar within AppSheet. And that's what we want to do. We want to create a Kanban board where you can move the different cards between different lists. And we want those lists to be not started, in progress, and complete. Then we also want a feature where we can actually filter all those by selecting what project. And when we select the project, it's going to filter down all the other cards. It's going to be super cool. And then last, Austin has a little stats thing that we wanted to show on the side that changes whenever you select what project you're focusing on. So let's go ahead and check that out. So as we can see right now, I just have a view called all tasks. And then I have a second view called Kanban board. The Kanban board doesn't have any views right here. So it's a clean slate for you guys to work from. And then all tasks, we can see we have a deck view that the data type is tasks, and they are grouped by the status in descending order. And then we have a primary view of what the task item is, what the name of the task is, the label, what project it is a part of. And then on the right here, we have what priority it is. If it's high priority, low priority, or medium. I should have said high, medium, low. I was just going through the order that I saw them right here. But yeah. And so that's what we're working with right here, the data. And we want to actually break this down into three different boards, three different lists, one for not started, one for in progress, and one for complete. That way they're all in line right here inside the Kanban board. And then we're going to go ahead and create actions that allow you to slide a card to the left or right, or allow you to slide a card from not started to in progress, or in progress to completed, and then backwards if necessary. But yeah, let's go ahead and check out how we'll do that. The first thing that we mentioned was having a separate list for each of the different statuses. And so how we do that is we want to create a new view for each of the different individual status options. But instead of setting the view connected to the data of the table, we want to set the view to the data of a specific filtered list. And that filtered list is going to derive from us creating a slice. If we go in here and hit add new slice, we'll call this tasks. And then in parentheses, I'll say not started. All right. And then obviously for the table, this is going to be connected to the tasks table. And if we go in here, we can see how we spell the words not started, the phrase. And so we want to copy that word for word, letter for letter, capitalization for capitalization. And then inside the row filter expression, we want to create a custom one. And then we want to say status of the task. If you're using the expression assistant inside of AppSheet and you're not seeing these things drop down, that is because we have a extension called AppSheet Toolbox that we created in-house and have shared with the whole entire AppSheet community. So if you don't have it, go ahead and look up in Google AppSheet Toolbox and you'll get not only this cool mono font that is good for typing in expressions, but it'll also color coordinate based off of its column or if it's a text. As you can see right here, the equals operator is red and the text is colored green. And then there's just tons of different options on like how you want to color it instead of I like material. I like it. But nonetheless, if you're confused why yours doesn't look like mine, that's why. Go get it. It's a ton of fun.
Yeah.
So now we have this new filter. Let me explain it real quick. If the status is equal to not started, then it will be included into the list. So this is the slice for the not started options. I added parentheses, and I should have known parentheses aren't allowed inside of slices. And so it promptly removed it from it. So for auto actions, we can keep that on auto. That is great. We want all columns. We don't want it to have to like re-add columns each time we update the schema or anything. And so, yes. All right. And we like all these options. And so now what we get to do, instead of going through all those steps all over again, we can just hit copy. And instead of saying not started, we can say in progress. And we're going to be able to blaze through this real quickly. So if we go through here, grab the in progress status, go in here. And just like I said, we're going ahead and blazing through it that quickly. Go ahead and create the next one. That one's going to be called completed. Go ahead and copy the word complete. Oh, there we go. I was saying completed and it's actually complete. And
Nice.
so that's the reason why we copy stuff like that instead of assuming. All right. So we now have 3 different slices. If I go ahead and collapse all of them, we have in progress, or not started, in progress, and complete. Let's go ahead and hit save. All right. So if I go ahead, I like this view, and it's already set up most of the way that I want it. So I don't want to start from scratch on creating a new view and have to make all these adjustments. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to edit this view right here by clicking this little shortcut under the emulator in the bottom left of the emulator called view : and then it's the view name. If we click that, it takes us to the editor of that view. Now we can go ahead and hit copy, and we can say this is going to be not started, and then the task is going to be the not started tasks. And we can see that it maintains all of that formatting that we would have lost otherwise. We only want this specific view to be accessible inside the Kanban board. We don't want it to show up in the bottom right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to change it from a center or any of these options and change it to ref. These are already filtered by, they're filtered by their status. So we don't need to group them by status anymore. So instead of that, I'm going to now group them by project. All right, let's go ahead and hit save. And now we want to do the same thing with the 2 other ones. To save us some time, let's go ahead and just hit copy on that one. Change it to in progress. Let's change the slice to the in progress slice. Let's hit copy again. Let's change this to complete. And let's change it to the complete slice. All right, so we now have 3 different views one for each of the 3 slices. And now we want to actually add all those views into the Kanban board. So if we go to the editor of the Kanban board by hitting that shortcut, we can actually add the view entries that we want. So we're going to start off with just 3. And we know that it is not started, in progress, and complete.
And what kind of view is that?
These are all deck views.
The
Kanban board is a dashboard view. And a dashboard view allows you to essentially group together multiple views. The dashboard view is a parent of these different 3 child views in the situation. Feature that we already have checked off, these 2 features, we're going to go ahead and check them back on. But what this allows you to do is it allows you to have tabs when in mobile view. So dashboard views look great on dashboard. On desktop. However, when you're on mobile view, it can be very cumbersome to like scroll through all these different views, where it almost comes to a point where it's slightly bad, where it straight up is just bad UX.
Yeah.
But if you check this right here, it makes it a lot better to view, so you can change between not started, in progress, and completed real quickly like that. The second thing that we want to enable is interactive mode. I'll explain to you why we're doing that in just a moment, but let's go ahead and hit save.
Another cool thing in dashboard views, if you are using them, is to use that in, I think, options, and turning on like the action buttons. So if you want action buttons on your dashboard views, it's in the options tab.
There we go. Show overlay actions. And so if we enabled that, then you could actually click into here and add an action. Add a task from there.
I actually disabled it for this app particularly because we have some custom actions that we made. And so to help with UX, went ahead and disabled that.
So one thing I mentioned was dashboards look great whenever you're inside of a desktop view. And as we can see right here, this looks fantastic.
Yes.
Very reminiscent of Trello. But there's 2 more things that we want to do. 2 primary things. We want to add in the filter ability of projects. So we want the ability to click a project to the left of here, and it filter the rest of the dashboard based off project. Let's go ahead and check that out. So inside the Kanban board, we can just go ahead and add in another view. If we do tall and we go to projects right here, slide that to the top where it's in the first position, hit save. And then if we reload this, we now have custom home. So you're asking me, wait, how did it just do that? That's insane. That's because we've chosen interactive dashboard, that checkbox, that second one that we were talking about. What it does is allow you to, if you click something that is a parent reference to one of these children references, then it will filter all of these tasks in this situation that the reference for the project is the one that we have selected right here.
Yeah.
And so if we click custom home, it's only going to show us the tasks that reference the custom home inside the project ID. It does that all automatically, which is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Then if you were to do this manually, you would have to do all this additional expressions on if the project ID is equal to the one that you have selected somehow. Like set a state on which one you have selected. It would be very cumbersome, but AppSheet just so quickly allows you to have this awesome filtering options. And so like, this is great to see, like this view that's unfiltered is great for, let's say, a technician to wake up in the morning and be like, man, how much work do I have? Like, does it look like I'm gonna be working overtime today? Does it look like I'll be able to get home for dinner in time? Which, if you're working past dinner, go home. Go home to your family. Get some dinner with this this view right here allows them to have a grand overview of what's not started and what's in progress for them to like very quickly assess what they need to get done. However, let's say I'm at the home remodel. I only want to see these. And so it accommodates both use cases of seeing the grand overview, but also being like, man, I'm only at the home remodel. I don't want to scroll through all the job site not started. I just want to see the information that's important to me right now. Yeah. And so this is super useful for that.
And that's why data structure is so important. Because it seems kind of like not intuitive when you build one table that just has 2 columns, like the project table only has 2 columns, but because we knew in advance we wanted to create this type of feature, then that's why we added just one table, so that way it makes it really easy to create an interactive dashboard.
So one other feature that I think is key for a Kanban board is the ability to actually slide over the cards. So what I'm interested in doing is I'm actually interested in another thing. Instead of adding a stats on the side, since we made this an interactive dashboard, it's allowing us to select it, but it's not allowing us to actually open into the detail view. So we could add an action button that goes to the detail view, or we could add a fifth menu over here on the right side, a fifth view on the right side that is the detail view. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to add in. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the task detail view. It might not look perfect. I don't remember what it looks like.
Yeah.
Hopefully it looks good, but if not, I'm not going to lose sleep over it. Awesome. So now whenever we click one of these, it takes us to the detail view of that. So I know inside of here, there's a column that is labeled notes. And so obviously you don't have a long list of notes inside of this deck view, but if you did need to see the notes, you would see in here, as well as like stuff like the due date and stuff like that. Okay. Like I was saying, one other feature that I think is super, super required when working in a a Kanban board is the ability to move a card left or right. You can't do that with these views right here. So what we want to do is we want to have an action button that sets not started to in progress and in progress to complete. In complete, we want that right arrow to hide. But we want a left arrow that sets complete to in progress and in progress to not started. And not started to not have a left arrow. And so we can do all that with just 2 actions. And we'll build on the logic for that real quickly. Nice. So if we go to behavior, we'll say promote status. This will be moving it left to right because we have not started in progress complete. I like to think of that phrase, that workflow as promoting the status.
Yeah. So
if we go into task, we want to make a change to values. What is the name? Set values. I already had it selected. That's why. Okay. Status. So right here, we want an expression. This is going to be an ifs expression. An ifs expression has alternating parameters. The first one, or the odd ones, let's say, the ones that are odd are going to be a yes, no. And the ones that are even, let's say 2, are going to be the results.
Nice. Could you zoom in just a little bit, Cam?
Absolutely.
Sweet. There we go. Perfect.
Yeah, so the odd parameters are going to be the yes, no condition. Okay. And then the even parameters are going to be what results if that parameter is true. Okay. And you can add as many of these as you want. So you can go all the way down. And this would be parameter 3.
Like if you had different statuses.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then you wouldn't need that last one if you stopped at 8. But yeah, so you can go through as many as you want. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go through all the different possible statuses. So we're going to start off with status. Status is equal to not started. Then we want to result in progress. The reason why that is to promote a task that is not started means to set it to in progress.
Mm-hmm.
So now we can do that 3 times, but with different things. And so for in progress, we want to set it to complete. I'll have to add quotation marks around that. And then for complete,
Mm-hmm.
we don't want it to do anything, because complete, there's no further progression past complete. If you wanted to do like archive
Mm-hmm.
after it reaches complete or something, you could, but we only need 2. So we have it where not started gets turned to in progress, and in progress gets turned to gets switched to complete. And I also have stas instead of status.
There we go.
So here we go.
Nice.
So for the promote, let me zoom out a little bit now. For the appearance, let's just go with an arrow that is facing to the right. So I'm going to do a square icon just to kind of separate it design-wise from this icon right here.
Mm-hmm.
And then right here, we can actually copy this one. Instead of promote, we can say demote.
Nice.
Demote status. And then we want to set complete to in progress. And we want in progress to send to not started.
This is pretty cool. The template app that you guys have, if you've clicked on it in the link below or the description below, it uses just status equals in progress, status equals complete. And then it shows and hides based on what the status is. So I like this way better, actually. So
it simplifies it. Yeah. It
yeah.
makes it a lot easier for the developer to find the action, because I mean, if somebody was collaborating with you on this app,
right,
they don't have to go through, in this example, there would be 2 promotions and 2 demotion ones.
Yeah.
And so they don't have to go through 4, they only have to go through 2.
Yes. Yeah. And then
if you had 30 different statuses,
right,
would be insane.
Mm-hmm.
You would still only be using 2. It would just be a longer ifs expression.
Yeah. Right.
But you did bring up something. We don't want to demote something that's not started, and we don't want to promote something that's complete. So we want to hide promote on complete, and we want to hide demote on not started. So we can do that by going inside a behavior. And then this one is for which action? Which one am I on? I'm on demote. So we don't want to demote any further those that are not started. So status is not started. So if the status is not equal to not started, this is the opposite of equals. This will return true if it is not equal to, and false if it does equal the second value. And so this will hide the action on not started. And then we want the same behavior on promote. However, we want to change that value at the end. So right there. And we want to this to complete. All right. And now if we go to the Kanban board, if we go into the UX, scroll down here to our different views that we've made for not started. We can go ahead and also here's another way you could show or hide. You could just select promote and demote for
Oh,
for the ones that it needs to show on. But
Yeah.
just for the sake of me using the behavior condition that I've already created, I'm going to go ahead and add all of them just to prove that it's still working, even though I could have done it on this side. That's what you'll learn about AppSheet is that there's a whole lot of different ways that you can skin the cat. That's a saying. Don't skin cats with an AppSheet. You'll get demoted.
Yeah. Another thing to point out is these are deck views, right, Cam?
Yep.
We talked about, I think, last week's webinar. If you use these showing and hide features, if you have too many actions, deck view is a good way to show and hide stuff. But if you use like a card view, there's not a good way to show and hide stuff in card views. If that makes, like, you can only have a certain amount of actions on the card view.
Another thing I forgot to do is for demote, I want it to be facing the left instead of the right.
Okay.
And that shows another thing, that the left one is facing right and right one's facing left. What I can do is go back to the UX and go back to these, and I can make sure that demote goes before promote. And I want to make sure that's the case for all these. It's just awkward when they're facing each other.
Yeah. Also, here's another helpful tip. If you guys haven't seen this feature yet in AppSheet, on the behaviors tab, Cam, could you go to rearrange actions and show them how to rearrange actions? Yeah. So there's another helpful tip. At one point I was searching for how to rearrange actions in AppSheet, and it was just a little bit hard to find information on it, but they make it pretty simple to do that. So if you haven't used that before, that's where it's at. Yeah,
especially if you're just doing auto, where it's just adding all the actions.
Yeah.
That's super helpful. But when I was choosing the actions individually, I have the freedom to, so that globally orders them.
Yes.
But what I was doing was on the other side was I was ordering them specifically for that individual view as well.
Yeah, I use that feature on like detail views, because you can't rearrange actions on a detail view besides doing it that way.
Yeah. So right here, now what we can do is we can take painting, let's say, and move it over to the right. So now painting's in progress, and now painting's can be moved over into complete.
Sweet.
Just like that, we got a working Trello board essentially. So
yeah,
pretty awesome.
Sweet.
I think I might have messed something up.
Why's that?
The in progress is not moving it to not started. Let's see real quickly. Let's bug test.
Yeah.
AppSheet training webinar bug testing session. So I want to make sure that let's do drywall. Is that the only drywall one? Okay, yeah. Let's go to drywall and see what it's setting it to. So if we go to drywall, move it left. Okay, so that one is not working how we want it to. Drywall.
The demote?
Yeah. So drywall set it to nothing right there. Very interesting. So the demote is doing something strange.
Maybe just check the expression.
Yeah. So I'll check the expression, but yeah, if we hit complete on something right there, super interesting. Let's go ahead and check that out. So we know it's on the demote, or let's make sure it's the demote. Let's make sure that the...
Oh, does it have an initial value? Would that
no, it
affect
shouldn't.
it? Oh,
No, it won't.
yeah.
So demote is facing left, so that is confirmed that we're clicking the correct action. And we're saying if the status is not started. Oh, this is not demoting. This is promoting. Okay, so this is a good opportunity for me to show you guys snippets. Because I'll have to copy multiple snippets at once. So what I can do inside of AppSheet Toolbox, I can hit snip right here. And go ahead and throw away these other two, just that way it looks clean for you guys. So right here, let's call this one promote. All right. And then let's go over to the one that is supposed to be promote, which is actually demoting it. Oh, this one's also promoting. So in progress is setting to complete and not started. Okay. So I must have not hit save or something after I copied it. Where did I change that? So promote is correct. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give myself some space to work. Just to show you guys the difference. So we want the complete to go to in progress. And we want the in progress to go to not started. And now we can go ahead and delete that old one. And we can go ahead and snip this one just to have it. Demote task. Save. All right. So complete goes to in progress goes to not started.
Nice.
Let's hit save. Let's give these tasks the completed state again. And then if we resync this, make sure that this is done saving. Yes, it is. So now, fingers crossed. It's working. Okay, so that's how you bug fix.
Yeah.
That's free, guys.
Yeah, it's all free. Yeah, that looks great.
And then that last feature, we're not going to build it out, but Austin created a really cool slide on going over how to do it. And he's also writing up a blog on going into depth on how to do it. But this feature is the bulk action creation, where you can click a list of tasks and you can add like a room or an area or something like that. You get creative with your own use case. And then it creates a task for each one of those processes that you select, let's say. And so if you select drywall and painting or drywall, plaster, and then painting, and you selected back bedroom, it would concatenate those together and create 3 tasks, one for back bedroom drywall, one for back bedroom plaster, and one for back bedroom painting. And we create 3 different tasks that all have their own individual status. That you can individually switch the status of each one of those instead of having one like giant task that has 12 hours of work on it.
Right.
You can break down the task into smaller dopamine filled clicks where you click it and you just feel that dopamine go through that you just completed something good. But the way you do that, do you actually want to explain it? I feel like you know this a little better because you've built it out twice now.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So step 1 is pretty simple. You're just going to go to the behavior tab and then add a new action, and you're going to name the action add 1 row. Let me pull up my slides too. Okay, so the do this is you're going to add a new row to another table using values from this row. So typically you're adding from one table to another table, but we are kind of using it in a different way with this feature. So you're going from the task table to the task table. And so this is just adding one row, and then this is where you can list the columns. The most important column, of course, to add here is the ID column. That way you can create those unique records. So this is how it will add unique IDs to each individual record. And then what we did is we added action item, assigned to, and then the project ID, and then our template column. And then in this example, it has room, but we've updated it to task. And so we're indexing the template task, and counting how many template tasks there are. So you can look in there in this action. It's called add one row, and kind of see all the nuances for each of these columns and how to create this structure. All right, and then we go to the next slide, Cam. And then this slide, step 2, again, behavior action, and then you're going to make a new action called count. And this is going to count backwards. So you're going to set some columns in this row. So you're going to make sure you have a count column on whatever table you're wanting to create this feature on. So for us, it was the task table. That's how we can create unlimited amount of tasks from one form save. And then it's just going to count backwards until it gets to 0. But there's one important step on step 3 that we'll get to right now. So step 3 is we're going to add more rows. So this is our third action, and it's on the task table, and we're going to execute an action on a set of rows to the reference table. Again, it's a task. So this is where the loop is coming in, right? And we're going to use the ref rows expression list, and then this row. And then the reference action is for each row to add, do this. And then don't miss this step, because I missed it when I was building it out. And we'll go one more, Cam. This is the most important step. You need to make sure that when you get to 0, it stops. So it's only if this condition is true. So this is on that same action under behavior. And when you set it to 0, the loop stops. If you don't set it to 0, it'll continuously loop around in AppSheet, and it will freeze, and then you'll have to exit out and bring the app back up, because it's looping continuously for infinity. So don't miss this step. Steve made sure to say the same thing. Most important step. So make sure you set the count to 0. That way, when it gets to the end, it stops and it fills in all those unique records for you. Finally, you're just going to group it all together. So for each row to add, do this. You're going to make a record in the task table, and you're going to group these actions together. And now that you have a grouped action, it'll loop for the amount of times that you've told it to. And that's what the count does. And so once you do that, all of your actions are grouped together. And so on that one form save, you can create as many records as you want. And that's it.
I want to say one thing that I thought was super cool. AppSheet has a thing inside of it that keeps you from adding a grouped action inside of a grouped action. However, that third action that you create right here does something really tricky, really clever. What it does is it executes an action on a set of rows, and that action is the grouped action. And so you're still running a grouped action inside of a grouped action. It's just you're using that as like a connection out of the grouped action, then going back into it. And so it's super, super tricky that gets you around that. Will you be able to do a sample add one more row for us so I can see it in practice? Yeah, awesome. Do you want to go ahead and show it one more time?
Yes. Let me share my screen.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay. So also, I forgot to mention, on form save, you're going to have add more rows. So that's the 5th step. So when you're in the editor, let me go to the editor actually, and I'll refresh real quick. And we will go to the form. task form. Okay, so right here on form save, you're going to do add more rows. That way, when you click save, it runs that group of actions that we just made. Okay, and so you guys wanted to see one more time? Is that
Put
right?
in like really, really good.
Huh?
Put in really good data for it, like really good titles and everything.
Okay. All right, so let's do building remodel. And we are going to need drywall, painting, and electrical work done for, let's do the kitchen. Okay, so they need to paint the kitchen. They need to add drywall and electrical work. This is high priority and it's not started yet. And then we'll click next and we're just going to assign it to myself. So I need to get to work. Okay. And then another thing that we added is it counts it for us. So this is that count column and it knows it needs 3 because we listed 3 template tasks right here. And so if we go back over here, we can see that it counted 3 of those tasks. So now it's going to create 3 records.
And it's going to loop through 3 times. And whenever it's going to remove 1 each time and then stop at 0.
Yeah. And so here you can see there's the building remodel and we have those 3 new tasks created. And then like Cam demoed, we can move them through our Kanban board. And there's one more thing I wanted to mention about this. We did create another column right here. Whoops. Called template, right, Cam? And we set it to true. And then we hid this because one thing that it does is it creates like the initial value, but it doesn't set it to anything. And so when you're creating the template, you don't want to show that template task right here, if that makes sense. So this one, we don't want to show the first one it makes. We want to show the complementary ones because the first one doesn't really make sense. So for UX design, we created a slice for not started and we set the status to or the what is it called, the filter condition to the status equals not started, but it also equals false. So that way every time the record is created, the first record is always going to be true. And this might be getting like a little bit nuanced for the use case. So we set the initial value to true. And then the behavior over here, I think it's add 1 row. If we click in here, we can see that the template is set to false. So that's how the computer knows, or AppSheet knows, that the ones that we want to show in that slice are false. And so that's just helping with the UX design, kind of running in the background. So there's actually another record created, but we don't want to show that one because it's not meaningful to the data listed. And then here's the action item expression. So we've concatenated a couple different things together. And I'll kind of break these up so you can see what's going on. And then give us some room to work. So we have the action item, which is, in our use case, we called it kitchen, and then it creates a space. And then the ampersand allows you to concatenate text together. And so we have this if expression saying that if template task is blank, then you can count that record. And then if not, we want it to show the count of the template tasks. So I know that's kind of a lot, but another cool thing is, let's say we just had a bunch of tasks for the kitchen, right? And we didn't want to use a template task. So you can do kitchen, not started, and then assign to myself again. It hasn't counted anything yet because it doesn't know. So maybe we just want to add 10 kitchen tasks. So we can just add 10 kitchen tasks right there. And now we can see it labels it kitchen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then if you wanted to, you could go in and edit the details of this record and say, I need you to do this in the kitchen or whatever. So you don't have to use the template task, but you can if you'd like. Again, the most important thing for this feature is just making sure that this has the unique ID. But like I said, this whole looping system is in your template app. So if you've registered or you've gotten the template app in the link in the description, then you have this template ready to rock and roll for you, and you can use it and add it to your use case. So just make sure whatever table you want this to apply to, you set all of the table names to that specific table, so you can create as many records as you want, which is it just blew my mind that was even possible in AppSheet. All right. So we have a couple more minutes for that live Q&A. And Cam, I think we had a question for you here. I'll throw it up here. It says, can AppSheet print with a machine printer by connecting Bluetooth?
We have a few customers that have asked for something similar.
Mm-hmm.
There's not an easy way to do it,
Right.
or a no-code way to do it.
Right.
However, a lot of use cases, it is okay just to email.
The PDF.
And then email the PDF and then just hit print when you open the PDF. That adds a human step of having to hit print, actually.
Yeah.
However, you could, depending on what printer you have, some printers have different APIs. Some printers have different connections. Maybe there's a printer that is connectable to Zapier or Trello or something like that, where you could do it through webhooks.
Okay.
But I think the best option is probably building out a Google Cloud script that connects through the API and prints the document through that. But I would assume that every printer is different, requires different file types, maybe has their own level of intense integrations or no level of integrations. And so it's really a case by case or printer by printer situation.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's an easy no code way to do it.
Right. Sweet. All right. Well, if you guys have any more questions, you can throw them in the chat, or you can ask them in the comments below, and we'll respond to them after the webinar. But we went a little bit over. We had a lot to talk about today, and I was glad we got to show you guys that feature, because I think it can really help you guys out if you're wanting to add multiple records at once. That is the way to do it. I've also heard that you might be able to use automations to kind of help with that feature as well. That is not in this demo, but that's something to explore if you would like to explore that. All right, so let's review. We went over our use case for project management, and then Cam showed you how to build a project management app. And then we had a quick live Q&A session, and that's how we wrapped it up. So if you want to learn more, make sure to head over to AppSheet Training to find more learnings and trainings and explore all the tools that we have to help you guys use AppSheet to its best capabilities. And then save the date for June 3rd, 10 a.m. We have a special event. We're going to be releasing a new AppSheet training course. So make sure to stay tuned, get best practices for how to build on AppSheet, and go ahead and save the date for June 3rd, 10 a.m. And with that, thank you for watching. Make sure to check out the punch list app build path, as well as our construction app suite build path. These are webinars that you can find on our AppSheet Training YouTube channel. They're free to watch, and they have build paths that are all related to our construction app suite. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you on June 3rd. Y'all have a great one.